Welcome to another episode of Temp Coffee Podcast. Before we begin our episode, we want to feature our sponsor, Primo Roasting Equipment. Primo Roasting Equipment is for all your roasting needs. They can customize any roaster, any size. They're based out of Santa Ana, California, and they can do amazing stuff for you. So reach out to Primo Roasting Equipment at www.primoroasting.com. Now let's get to our episode. Welcome to another episode of Temp Coffee Podcast. I'm your host, Keri Elliott. And normally I would have Tim Howard right next to me, but he's in California. But today I have a really special guest from Sauvie Island Coffee Roasting Company. We have Brenda Enyart here in the house. She is the owner, head roaster, and she owns her own cafe in Beaverton, Oregon. So welcome, Brenda. Thank you so much for being on the show. I know you were ecstatic, coming onto the show here. I'm totally ecstatic. And this is a great way for us to have a conversation because I've popped into your shop numerous times, even when I started Elliott and Murray, and I was picking your brain as you're roasting on your little Diedrich machine and asking a bunch of questions. I have to say thank you so much for all the information and advice that you have given me, and it's helping me grow my business. So I really appreciate you and your kindness and taking the time out to chat with me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm really ecstatic that you're sitting here and we're having this conversation. So I want to kind of get an idea of your background because I know we've talked shop, using air quotation marks about coffee roasting and theory and bags and what have you, but I never really got to know your story, how you got started, what you did before, and how was Sauvie Island created. Maybe you can take us back to where you kind of started.
Pre-Diedrich?
Yeah, pre-Diedrich. Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. So prior to starting Sauvie Island Coffee, I worked in video production. I was a video editor and camera operator, and I did that a number of years in corporate America for HP, actually in Vancouver. While I was doing that, I lived on our farm out on Sauvie Island, and we were a working farm. We produced silage corn for cattle feed, and we produced wheat and grass seed. In addition to that, we also had, on a smaller scale, a menagerie of animals. I raised Nigerian dwarf goats and some Boer goats and some miniature donkeys and horses as well.
Dang.
I love animals, and anyway, that's what I was doing. I was crafting a lot. I made goat milk soap for a long time.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun, really kind of a neat, it was neat. It was a fun thing to do, and it was fun to gift. I sold some and, did a few craft sales and fairs and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then one weekend on a trip to Long Beach, Washington, my husband and I went into a coffee shop called Long Beach Coffee Roasters. And sitting right there on the floor, just next to the counter, they had an IR-12, a Diedrich IR-12. And as I'm sitting there, they had couches, so I was sitting there on the couch, and I'm sipping my coffee, and I'm watching this, the drum go round and round, and I thought, man, that just, I was sipping and the looking and the whole thing, and I was like, wow, it was so romantic, and I just had never had a cup of coffee that was that good, that fresh, so that was, I don't know, almost 20 years ago, I guess, and, fast forward how coffee is now, but back then, we went back to our place, and I just said, God, this is just what Sauvie Island needs. The island is huge, we get 1 million visitors a year, we have quite a few large farmers markets, and I thought, Sauvie Island Coffee Company, that just,
It
had a nice ring to it. I took a picture of the plate on the side of the Diedrich and went home and did some research. I called them, got signed up for a class, flew out to Sandpoint, Idaho, was there for a weekend, took a class, and I brought home, I think, 5 pounds of horribly roasted coffee. It was just terrible, but we were so excited. I think the roast went 20 minutes long, and it was just, I handed it out to all my friends. They were like, oh.
So
that's really great.
Yeah, that's really amazing that you just walked in to this roasting company, enjoying a cup of coffee as a customer. You're seeing this huge Diedrich machine. Well, to some people it might look huge. To us, it's medium size. There was something about it that captivated you.
Oh, the whole thing was so romantic, and I'll never forget it. It's just the aroma of the coffee and the sip, the taste, the whole bit. And, the environment and...
It was the experience of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
The environment, the experience, everything just captivated you. Mm-hmm. You had this, aha moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you bought, green coffee beans and tried to roast at home. You went from not knowing any coffee knowledge. Zero. And then 0 to 60, literally, you're in Sandpoint, Idaho, learning how to roast on a commercial machine.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't come across many people who just go 0 to 60 like that.
Yeah. I think part of it is where we're at on the island. We're just so isolated. For those of you who don't know where Sauvie Island is, it's west of downtown Portland, about 12 miles or so. It's the largest river island in the country. It's 33,000 acres. There are no services on the island at all, meaning there's no gas station, there's one little convenience store right at the foot of the bridge, but other than the farmers markets, which are seasonal, if you don't have your groceries going on the island, you're driving either to Scappoose or St. John's, which are 12 miles, I think, each way. And so in terms of coffee, there was nothing. And even back then, maybe Starbucks had just opened in St. John's, and Scappoose, Fred Meyer was built, and maybe Tully's was inside the store. But other than that, there was nothing. There was nothing. And I just thought, this is just going to be perfect. I'll roast it for my neighbors and friends and, hopefully sell it on the market. And that's I just wanted to kind of captivate that experience of coming to the island and having the same experience really that I had at Long Beach Coffee Roasters.
And that's what you have, it sounds like that's what you tried to inspire into your cafe, which you currently have in Beaverton. Mm-hmm. You were saying that with Sauvie Island, you can't really build much.
No, the zoning out there is really restrictive. We are in Multnomah County, most of it. Some of it's Columbia County, but the majority of the island is in Multnomah County, and most of the zoning is EFU, which stands for Exclusive Farm Use. So if it's not grown on the island or in the surrounding area, you can technically only sell it in a farmer's market setting. So there is really no opportunity to build a little cafe.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so that kind of puts you in a position to venture out. Now, you were saying that it's pretty close to Scappoose and St. John's. Mm-hmm. But you chose Beaverton. Where you are, you're actually not too far from Nike World Headquarters.
Correct.
I'm just kind of curious, what made you decide to choose a location that you did? Why Beaverton, where you could have had St. John's or Scappoose?
I will have to say that Beaverton chose me.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
When I decided, obviously on an IR3, it's a small roaster. I got into some grocery stores. I don't have the ability to earn a living doing wholesale coffee. So really for me, retail was going to be the best way for me to earn a living. So to go from a hobby to trying to earn a living on coffee, that's what I needed to do, is move to a retail space. At the time, Portland roasting was really big in terms of that, and Stumptown in terms of wholesale. So it just wasn't something that I can compete with. So then I started trying to figure out places where I could open a shop. Like you said, St. John's and Scappoose were kind of out. None of them really seemed to have a good fit or feel. And I ended up talking to a broker. He showed me Edge Coffee, which is where I am now. And I drove by there and I was like, I don't know. It's in a mall. Sauvie Island is, just so much different than that. It didn't seem like it was the right feel. And he said, come in and let's talk.
Yeah.
And that's really what kind of got me in there. And I just had to kind of wrap my head around something new, that I can define the coffee shop. The coffee shop doesn't necessarily have to define me.
Right.
But it was hard. The transition was really hard.
It wasn't maybe at first the aesthetic you were looking for. It kind of grew on you a little bit. And like you said, maybe the feel, the vibe that was in Beaverton, you felt that you can grow your business. Kind of walk us through, how did you take something that you were very unsure of, and then what was the moment you realized that yeah, this can work?
Well, the moment was I just signed a new lease for another 4 years, and that's really nerve-wracking considering all the things that are happening right now in terms of the pandemic and stuff. But once I moved my roaster in there and people got to see what we were doing and how the process and everything, change is hard. That kind of routine is hard, and they were serving Sisters coffee at the time, which is excellent coffee. And, slowly I moved my coffee in there, and we shifted things out. I was super apprehensive about that because, like I said, people were really nervous about the change. And I would say, it's coffee. Who cares? But that said, I'm pretty particular about my morning routine with my coffee, so I get it now. But at the time, I was like, oh. And the customers that came in, most of them didn't really even know where Sauvie Island was. So that was really kind of interesting. So it allowed me to focus on just the roasting, making sure that the quality of our cup was really good, working with my employees, and the customers were really great. And once the feedback just was super supportive, then I knew we were okay, Yeah.
Awesome. So this was a pre-existing coffee shop.
Yes.
And it sounded like the people who had it before decided they wanted to move on with things, and you kind of took over that.
Yep. In part of the shop, there's a little area where they used it as a conference room. So I just pulled the stuff out of there and moved my roaster in there just because, I was roasting in my garage, and, that's like wrestling an alligator, just one bag, right, of coffee. So it just didn't make any sense so I just brought it all under one roof. And it's been great.
Whenever I come in, when you're there roasting, it's really awesome. And I'm sure you have a lot of people that come in and have a lot of conversations, and people like myself coming in and asking a lot of questions. So it feels like you try to create this place that you wanted to show people that this is how it goes. This is how we produce the coffee. This is how the coffee is roasted, and that's what you're enjoying in your cup of coffee. It's allowing the customers to have that really beautiful experience of showing them the process from point A to point B, and that they can observe you roasting while they're enjoying a cup of coffee.
Right.
Which is interesting because it's kind of similar to what Elliot Murray set up. You've been in there before, where if you come into the Elliot Murray facility, I have windows built out where you can look into the roastery and you can see someone roasting. And a lot of customers enjoy that engagement, that interaction where I'm seeing the roasting process happening. They're getting a latte while they're enjoying it. Right. I think you and I are very similar on our views, how we want to share that with our customers, being able to say, hey, this is how it happens. This is how the magic happens, really. This is the thing that we truly love.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really amazing. Now, getting your roaster into the shop, did you have to face some challenges as far as permitting, and did you have any obstacles getting the roaster in while building out the cafe? What were your challenges that you faced during that time?
Well, let's see. I had two big challenges. One was getting the roaster there, packing it up and hauling it over. For sure, venting, punching a hole in the ceiling, getting the venting. I can't remember the name of the guy out on Sandy. It was way out on Sandy's, some chimney shop. He was just a real interesting character. It's where I got my venting, because it's very expensive. The double wall, yeah. So, and getting that installed and the gas and all that. The city of Beaverton has been really great. My roaster is small. I don't need an afterburner. So anyway, so that part was challenging, but it was, doable. The shop was still running anyway. I think my biggest challenge was employees. Like coming in, I kept everybody on board. I kept the manager. I kept all the baristas. And, they were very nervous about change. They were very nervous about me, what was going to happen. And so I think that was the harder part, is coming in with my ideas, how I was planning on having things go, and having them follow my lead versus.
So now going back, you got the roaster, you're roasting at home. And you also have the employees. And now that you are a person who bought into this shop, you have a roaster in there. Can you walk us through, how did you, with your barista training, how did you find your barista training, and how were you able to train your employees at the time and give them the direction and guidance that they needed to make Sauvie Island Coffee as successful as it is today?
I cheated because they came already trained. They had our system in place. I hired, I can't remember, Sherry Johns from the Cup of Excellence. I don't know if she's still there. She was over in North Portland, and I hired her. I met her, I think, at a Roasters Guild retreat back in 2010 at Skamania Lodge. Her and her husband, we did classes, I think it was a week's worth of, after the shop closed, cupping classes, and we had a barista come in, a professional, more professional than mine, I guess. But, I mean, somebody who was consulting. She came in and talked about foaming milk and all those kinds of things. So just kind of to brush up on what they were already doing.
Right.
So we did that in the beginning, and that's kind of how that...
It opened up an experience for you, kind of opened your eyes a little bit as far as learning and understanding the skills that it takes to... And, of course, with your coffee... It gave you an opportunity to understand and learn your coffee and how it's being made, like through the espresso machine,
Absolutely.
learning to dial it in and stuff like that. So it helped you, give you the tools and education yourself as an owner, operator to move forward. So down the road, you can give that training to newer employees.
Right.
But, also too, like you said, that the employees were already trained and they were using sisters companies. So they were obviously trained in the specialty coffee way from sisters companies, so they got the previous training from them.
Yeah, for sure. And, it was a big jump for me going from, there again, I went from 0 to 60. I went from roasting in my garage and, cupping I was cupping some, but mostly I was doing pour-overs with the old farmhouse coffee grinder.
Yeah.
I mean, it was excellent. And, to go from that to... having the real deal.
Having a legitimate cupping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the most, I think out of everything coffee, that was the most intimidating thing that I had experienced, was going to my first cupping. Doing it at Coffee Fest. I've been to multiple Coffee Fests. I've taken a bunch of classes. But then going to the Roasters Guild retreat, that was pretty intimidating. I mean, looking back, and I said this even while I was there, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends doing it. I was just kind of, I was on my own. And I signed up for it because it was close, and I could come home and go back. And because they're expensive to go. The retreat. I think it was 85% men, if not more. There was over 200 people there. And I just had no idea that there was no women in the industry. I didn't know. So it was really so curious. So then we got paired up, we teamed up, and because what they do is they put you in a group, and then they have you roast on different roasters and give you they don't tell you what the green coffee is, and then they have a roasting competition.
Oh, mystery coffee.
Yeah, it's fun. And then you cup it along the way, and then as a, collective, everyone decide that they announce the winner on a Sunday morning. Well, when we were in our group of, 5 or 6 people, there was another gal, so another roaster from the East Coast, and I wish I could remember what the name of what the shop was that she worked for, but the guys wouldn't let us roast. They wouldn't let us.
Really?
Yeah, it was, it was so interesting because we were trying to figure out, how we were going to create a profile for it. You were given X amount of coffee, so you were only given so many roasts. And nope, they weren't interested in what we had to say. So when they were done at the end of the day, we went back on our own and roasted our own, she and I together, and that made it through. We didn't win, but what we roasted ended up making it through the next round.
Yeah, you were kind of like in the finals there. You made it
to we made it farther than
most men, right?
Well, I mean, in our own group, we made it. Like our coffee, the guys that wouldn't let us. Yeah. So we were able to advance, but it was just so maddening. Like, wow. I was like, I really couldn't believe it. But anyway, a lot's changed since then.
Now, I wanted to kind of go back to the cafe. Mm-hmm. We touched base about how the training of the baristas and you becoming this owner-operator of this cafe that was pre-existing, and now you're taking it over, creating the experience of it. Can you walk us through what is the day in life of Brenda coming in, and how many employees do you currently have right now?
I think 5.
Okay.
5 or 6.
So you're managing about 5 or 6 employees. Can you kind of walk us through what a day is like in Brenda's shoes, being the owner and head roaster and cafe owner of this shop?
Well, let's see. I have a manager who's been there for a long time, so he's really great. I feel like I'm really lucky with my employees. So I am able, because I have a daughter that's in school, so I'm able to get her off to school and then come in. I don't need to be there at open most days. I come in, I have an idea, what we have for online orders. I have an idea of what we have for wholesale roasters and roasting for the shop. So I typically roast, because our machine is so small. Our roaster's going probably 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Between the roasting for the shop, roasting for wholesale, and roasting for online customers, that's my priority. And then I take care of the shopping, and in between that, talking to customers, because that's part of the day now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a lot of the day. And then I leave, pretty much in the afternoon. I don't want to say I have banker's hours, but because, I had to make this work as a single mom. I had to get my kid to school.
Yeah.
And I had to get home.
Right.
And now she drives. So
yeah, I remember you told me about that.
Now she drives, and I don't know that my employees like that very much, because I spend a lot more time at the shop, and she will be going off to college in the fall, and I will have all kinds of free time
oh boy,
to spend at the shop. So yeah, things will be different. But it's the beauty of this shop has allowed me to raise my daughter, and my employees have been really great, early morning hours and after hours and weekends. I feel pretty lucky.
That's amazing. And I think that's really important as us business owners. You're a mom. I'm a mom. Even this goes for the male business owners out there.
Sure.
As a person, as a business owner, no matter who you are, if you own a business, you need to set time. You need to set boundaries from your business to separate. I know for myself very, very well that I know that in order for my business to succeed, I need to step away sometimes, get a mental reset, and then step back in and get down to work. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Day. I decided to take the day off because not only was my son off from school and allowed me time to spend with him, but my son also brought up talking about Martin Luther King and how they talked about it in school. And it was great because him and I sat down and have a conversation about the important work that he did. Moments like that, you can't get back. And it's really important, whether you have kids or not, you're single, whatever, you need to set boundaries for yourself so you can clear your mind, just disconnect for a while, and then get back at it. Because if you keep grinding and grinding and grinding, and you keep doing the same thing and you're trying to get results out of it, you're going to get burned out.
You will grow to loathe the thing that is providing you a life, a lifestyle or an income. You will grow to loathe it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's also a passion that you truly love. Crafting coffee. I've touched base, and you probably heard about it on the other podcast episodes, at how I feel that we're artisans. We are crafters of what we create with our coffee. And just like, it was funny when you were talking about the Coffees Guild and how you guys had a coffee that you know nothing about and you had to roast it. To me, it sounds like it would be a perfect pitch to a reality TV show, and that would be one of the challenges. Here's a coffee, roast it, make something out of it.
Yeah, it was hard.
I bet.
It was really hard because I think we had 20 pounds and the roasters were small, but it was really challenging. Yeah. But super fun.
Exactly. And the whole thing about it is having fun, being passionate, and putting your love and your passion into each batch of coffee. And that, I believe, that energy really shows into your coffee, and people enjoy that.
Yeah.
If you put the negative energy into it, people are going to notice that. People are going to taste it. I realized quickly that there was one certain point with everything going on with COVID and stuff like that. There was a point of me where I felt like I was getting burned out, that the energy level into my coffee was not doing very good. And I realized that I needed to take a break. I needed to allow myself to have grace and not to be so hard on myself. And that was one thing that was very challenging, because I am my own worst enemy. I'm very hard on myself. And I realized at a point that I need to sit back, relax, enjoy life, enjoy the moments of it. And you know what? When I did that, I felt like my passion was reignited again. I got excited.
Nice.
And the energy level just kind of came back, and it's still flowing, that positive energy. So
it's easy to overdo it, that's for sure, because there's all kinds of work you could do at home.
Yeah.
There's tons of bookkeeping, there's all kinds of things that you can do at home. You can make it a 24-hour-a-day deal. So
yeah, right now we're in tax season. Got to go through all the books and make sure to cross our, dot our I's, cross our T's, dot our I's kind of thing. And that's the things that we do as business owners. Mm-hmm. So Edge Coffee, can you tell me, so you have, it's interesting.
Confusing, I know. And you want me to answer that question?
Yes, please.
I have it. So really it boiled down to money. And so I bought the shop, and I was so ready to change the signage. And we have a lot of signs. There's 4 sides to our building. And I read the lease, but I also had my attorneys read the lease, and they read it better than I did. But they said it was okay, so I signed it. But I didn't really read the lease on sign requirements.
Oh, okay.
So there are requirements with where our shop is at, and they needed to be lighted signs, channel letters, lighted signs. There's rules, because I'm street side. So I can't just put up any sign willy-nilly. So to replace the signage that we had, the quote that I got was $40,000.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well, I think we're going to be Edge Coffee for a while longer. I mean, I just didn't have any idea it was that much money. And that was 6 years ago. I've been there, I'm going on my 7th year there. And, again, at the time, the change, and people were really it was interesting, because all our regulars were really not apprehensive, but they were worried about what was going to happen. And so I just left it alone. And I think I left it for too long, because now, as my staff will say, if I had a dime for every time somebody asked us, is this Sauvie Island Coffee or is this Edge? We are now in the process of changing our signage. And I think because of COVID, with Nike not going away, but they are working from home, so we just don't have that same volume. Providence across the street, they're not coming in. And Sauvie Island Coffee, they had a lot of, it didn't mean anything to anybody out here, or out there. I guess we're not that far away, but in Beaverton, because there's a lot of people who travel, so they don't know where Sauvie Island Coffee, they don't know where Sauvie Island is. It just doesn't have any kind of meaning to it. So I thought it was okay, but then now there's so much of me in there, and there's so much of we talk Sauvie Island, we have all of our logos and branding and stuff. It's time to change. It's time to change the signage. So, gonna do it, and the timing seems right, because everyone's away. So hopefully everyone's coming back to work.
Yeah.
And I'm spending some money to.
You're finally doing it.
I'm finally doing it.
You're finally doing it.
Yeah.
No.
And it won't be 40. It's not 40. We've done some things, so I won't have to spend that much, thank God.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But it's not cheap. I mean, who knew? I had no idea.
But you know what? By the time it gets up there, you can be so proud to look at that and say,
oh, I know. I can't wait.
Are you going to be doing like a ribbon cutting and
the whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's going to be a big party.
Dude, okay. I'm totally there.
Yeah.
I would love to come there and check it out. And it's so nice, because that gives you, you can finally stand there and look at the sign and say, this is
I might cry.
This is what I envision. Yeah.
I'm not a crier, but I might cry.
Cry away. Cry as much as you want. You deserve it. All the tears.
Oh, I say that. I don't cry in public. I've cried at home a whole bunch the last couple of years. It has been rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been one hell of a ride, for these past couple of years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, I mean, yeah, it's just a sign outside the door. People are going to be like, oh, what? It's just a sign. No, it means so much more to that. And that's what you envisioned when you first looked at the IR12
Yep.
at Long Beach Roasters, from this journey from that to going to Diedrich, learning how to roast, roasting in the garage, taking over an existing coffee shop, and now you can finally have that sign.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
That was the funnest part, I think. I mean, learning how to roast coffee was really, and it's still forever a challenge, right? Because it's an ever, the crops change from year to year, and so you're always experimenting to see what you can do to bring out the most in that coffee. But a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with the brand building, coming up with the brand idea, the logo, and I mean, I didn't do it, but I had artists that helped me. But it was fun that was a super fun part of it, for sure. So yes, like you said, I mean that will be. I love seeing our logo on a T-shirt. I think that's just so cool. I love seeing people wear it. And I didn't bring you a shirt. I know. I heard you collect the black T-shirts.
I do. I do.
I have 2 black T-shirts left. I have all these colored ones, but I only have 2 black ones left.
Well, Brenda,
they're
I appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I do have a Sauvie Island T-shirt.
Oh, you did get one?
I bought one.
Do you have the flock one or the?
I have. It's a black one with the birds on the line there, and I was like.
Oh, the flock. Yeah, we call that our flock shirt.
Oh, is it the flock?
Yeah, because it has all the birds on it.
Yep, that's the one I got.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I bought that a while back. So I was like, all right.
Is that a Haven shirt you're wearing?
It is a Haven shirt.
That's so cool.
Yeah, this is Haven Coffee Company. They're literally down the street from my house. They're in the Cedar Mill neighborhood. So see, it's true.
Support local.
Yeah, support local brands, absolutely. And I even have a Thornton T-shirt too. So.
Oh, I love their stickers are so cool.
Yeah, they're pretty rad. As a matter,
shirts are cool too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was over at Thornton's and I saw Paul and I were chit-chatting a little bit. So we were just hanging out. I said hi to him, and he was really busy. He has those 2 roasters in there now.
They are so cool. That's a cool setup he's got over there.
Yeah, those roasters are nice.
He's a wealth of information, that guy.
Paul, I'll give you a shout-out. You're an amazing dude. I know you're hearing this podcast.
Yep.
And so we were talking about the signage and talking about that.
It's going to be a great day.
It's going to be great. And so... Can you, with the pandemic, how has that affected you? You touched base about Nike and Providence, which is across the street from you, which has affected your volume.
Oh, yeah.
With everything going on, what changes did you have to make? What kind of shifts did you have to do with Sauvie Island coffee roasting or the cafe to make the shift to be able to still be in operations?
Well, we found that our online business grew, for sure. The whole bean coffee sales went up quite a lot. We closed for 2 weeks, and then Josiah just said, Brenda, I'll just go in and work by myself. I'm going crazy sitting at home. And so we were lucky because we weren't forced to be closed. I think we were considered still, what do they call it?
Essential?
Yeah. So after, I think it was a little over 2 weeks, we opened back up. First it was 1 barista, then we had 2. So how do we pivot? We have the Joe Coffee app, just a lot of walk-in orders, taking orders over the phone. That's pretty much, people got tired of being at home. And when they found out we were open, they were so excited.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we got some support that way. We got people that came in who were, working at home and were just looking to get out and talk to somebody.
Right. Having that social interaction.
So our volume was off. I mean, we were way down, and had we not gotten those, the PPP loans, we would have been in trouble, for sure. That's we're just hanging on by a thread, there until and it's picked back up for sure.
Yeah, because more and more people are starting to come out.
They're out now, but now we're seeing
the Omicron variant right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can agree with you on that because I've noticed that shift as well with our business.
Yeah.
That. Not a whole lot of people are walking in the door for a cup of coffee. But at the same time, you have people who can't sit at home. I have to say, I'm one of those people. I cannot sit still. I have to be out. I have to interact with people. I would go crazy if I didn't have that interaction with people. And there's only so much Zoom that you can handle.
Yeah. And we have a lot of customers we had a lot of older customers that just were alone. And they really craved that interaction. They'd come in to, shoot the breeze with Josiah or Teresa or Angelica or Ben, and they just needed that one-on-one, so I would have to say they probably had no business being out, just, in terms of their fragility.
Right.
But it was a place that they could come and at least say hello to a friendly face, Yeah. And we were available for that.
It's part of the routine. And I think that coffee shops do serve a purpose, and you can, as a barista, you can make someone's day.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Just having that open dialogue, having that open conversation, and talking to someone can really shift their day. As a former barista myself at Starbucks, I know. I've done that where I had people who just wanted to talk. The conversation as we talked and interacting, that made a change in their day. And I think that's really important to have. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, we're kind of losing that a little bit.
Yep.
That connection, that genuine connection. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge itself. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yep.
Just for the sake of time, I wanted to dive in a little bit more about how you won medals for your coffee.
Yeah.
Your golden bean.
We won a silver medal in 2017 for, it was, I think, was it milk-based espresso? Not milk-based espresso. It was something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was like four categories or so, but in fact, I don't know if that was the first year of the Golden Bean or maybe the second year, and 2017. So I got the shop in 2016, and I just thought, let's just try it.
And so how many years of roasting experience did you have when you entered into Golden Bean?
So 2007 I started, so 9 years. Yeah.
So you had 9 years of experience, and this was your first competition?
This is my first competition. This was our espresso blend. So our espresso blend was a year old. Prior to that, I had been buying already blended coffee from Atlas. They have, I think it's called Rosebud. I don't know if they still have it, but they have Rosebud espresso blend. And I was too scared. I was like, Anyway, we worked out our blend, and we were serving it in the shop, and I just thought, let's just enter.
So you had like a YOLO moment. You're like, you only live once.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I would have entered more coffees, but it was really expensive. It was like $80 per category, I think. Well, then if you enter, if you enter 3 or 4 coffees, that ends up being a lot of money. So we just entered our espresso, and we got, I was just shocked, so surprised. So we got a silver medal. They sent us the medal. We didn't have to buy the medal. We had to buy the stickers, and those were like $158.
Wow.
And then the next year, 2018, we entered. I didn't want to enter our espresso again. I wanted to try something else just to see. So I entered an Ethiopian Sidamo. Nothing spectacular. It wasn't.
Was it like a grade 2, grade 1? Do you remember what grade it was?
I don't even remember. But it wasn't like a crown jewel.
Right. It wasn't like the honey processed Ethiopian coffee.
No.
Right. It's just a traditional Sidamo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we got a bronze medal for that. And that was weird. I was just like, so excited. Then the following year, so that was the 2 years that it was in Portland. They held it. And then the next year, it was in Atlanta, I think. So that would have been 2019. And we didn't enter. I didn't enter that year. And I can't remember why. Anyway, and then I don't think they had it 2020, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe they didn't even have it in 2019.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did. They had to.
Yeah, 2019 they did. 2020, they haven't had anything yet. That'd be something, once Golden Bean comes back, I would love to enter in my Whoa Dude espresso blend.
Yeah.
Whoa Dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. I'd like to try and enter some other things, I think we entered some stuff locally. I can't remember what it was called, but they had a roasting competition where they roast. Buckman Coffee Factory, yeah. They did I can't remember what they called it. I think there's a roasting competition there. Same thing. You buy 20 pounds of buy-in. It was like $50 or whatever, and you get 20 pounds of unnamed coffee.
Yeah, I do remember them hosting the roasting competitions, and I think that was back in 2019.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since any like roasting competitions have come about. I'm hoping like maybe down the road we can have Golden Bean back, or maybe Buckman will host something like that again in the near future.
Well, what if you guys did?
You know, that is not a bad idea. You know, that'd be great. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, bring it back.
You know, Brenda.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes, that's fabulous. Tim, if you're listening, Brenda has ideas. Oh man, that is actually that's better than my idea of hosting a latte throwdown. I was thinking about that's something you should.
Well, we've talked about doing that. Yeah,
that would be amazing.
But I think with this whole Omicron thing, we have to put that off until it.
Right, until the cases start going down. Understandable. And I think that's what we want to try to do too. Is kind of wait for that, calm down, and then eventually we want to host classes like how to brew coffee, how to do this, how to do that, learning how to roast coffee at home. Like, we have all kinds of ideas, but we're just kind of waiting. What advice you would give to folks who are interested in starting to roast, who are interested in maybe doing your hybrid kind of concept where you're roasting and have the cafe under one roof? What advice would you give to those folks that are interested in doing that, and what would you tell them?
What would I tell them? Oh, gosh. Don't give up your day job just yet.
Don't quit your job immediately.
Right. Because it takes time. It takes time to build an audience. It takes time to learn. It just takes some time.
Yeah, I think time is definitely essential.
There's lots of help. There is a lot of help. There's a lot of free help. There's a lot of places like what you did, went around and talked to people. You know, got advice, volunteer to help a roaster, show up to help package or whatever. Shadow, I guess, job shadow. Is that right? Job shadow. There's places like Buckman where you can go and learn to roast too, classes and stuff like that. Incorporating it into a cafe, it helps if you have retail experience for sure. Because retail is a whole nother beast on its own. And that's something I didn't have a background in. Moving into an already existing machine that was going helped me get up to speed quite a bit faster.
Okay.
I had lots of experience doing lots of other things, but not ever running. I've worked in restaurants, but I've never run a coffee shop before. So
that experience from the restaurant, some of the different tools and what you learn from that apply definitely to what you have. But
they don't show you their books.
Yeah.
That's the part. Seeing all that. Here's the other piece of advice. I would use the SBA. I used them when I was looking to buy this coffee shop. They had a person, they hooked me up with a mentor that's specialized in business acquisitions. It was that specific, and he was fantastic. He helped me look at the books, and he helped me sort it all out to see whether this was, a good move on my part. So use those kinds of resources. They're excellent. SBA is your local SBA office.
Well, hey, I think we covered so much. I learned so much about you today. This was really great conversation. I'm bummed Tim wasn't here to join the conversation.
I know. I'm sure he would have had lots to add.
Oh, yeah. We would have had so much laughs and Tim being Tim. I wanted to say thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come and share your story with the whole world. I hope that inspires others for those who are kind of like going through their coffee journey, maybe in that position where they probably walked into your place, my place, or, roastery cafe. They got inspired like you did and want to eventually open up their own shop. And so that inspiration, I think that would be, hopefully that will...
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully somebody's inspired. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, like that's how, for me, that's how it started. I was like,
yeah, wow. Someone can have an aha moment.
Yep.
I had an aha moment when I learned that you could roast coffee at home. That was my aha moment.
Mm-hmm. It's like, wow.
Wowzy, wow.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah.
And then you drink a cup of Starbucks and you're just like, this is...
It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely... You could tell the difference for sure. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Keri. It's just been...
It's a blast.
Yeah, it is fun.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Drop Temp Podcast. Next week, we'll have Tim back onto the show. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and we'll catch you guys next week.